Janice McKinney always watched from the kitchen window when the school bus dropped off her 8-year-old daughter Cherrie. The routine never varied. The bus would stop at the top of their long gravel driveway. Cherrie would wave goodbye to friends, and then make the short 150-yard walk home. On February 22, 1985, Janice saw the bus arrive and depart on schedule. She expected to see Cherrie walking down the driveway within minutes. But her daughter never appeared. If you're fascinated by true crime mysteries like this, please hit that subscribe button and let us know in the comments what you think about this case. Don't forget to ring the notification bell so you never miss our latest investigations. When Janice went outside to investigate, she found the driveway empty and Cherrie gone. The only unusual detail anyone remembered was a distinctive van with a mountain mural that had been parked near the bus stop. 39 years later, that van remains the only clue to what happened to Cherrie Mahan. February 22, 1985 started like any other school day for the Mahan family in Cabot, Pennsylvania. 8-year-old Cherrie and Mahan woke up excited about the weekend ahead. She had plans to play with friends and maybe help her stepfather Leroy with chores around their rural property on Cornplanter Road. The Mahan home sat at the end of a long gravel driveway, surrounded by the rolling hills and farmland of Butler County. It was peaceful country living, the kind of place where neighbors looked out for each other and children could play outside without constant supervision. Cherrie was a bright, energetic third grader who loved school and had many friends. Her teachers at Winfield Elementary described her as cheerful and responsible, a child who followed rules and never caused trouble. She had shoulder-length blonde hair, bright eyes, and an infectious smile that made her popular with classmates. That Friday morning, Cherrie boarded school bus number 419 as usual. She sat with friends during the ride to Winfield Elementary, chatting about weekend plans and upcoming school events. The day passed normally, with nothing unusual occurring in her classes or during lunch. At 4:05 p.m., the afternoon bell rang and children began boarding buses for the ride home. Cherrie climbed onto bus number 419, finding her usual seat near the middle. The bus driver, who had been transporting local children for years, knew Cherrie well and always made sure she got off safely at her stop. The bus route through rural Butler County was familiar and predictable. The same children got on and off at the same stops every day, creating a routine that parents and drivers could count on. Cherrie's stop was near the top of her family's driveway on Cornplanter Road, a quiet stretch of country road with little traffic. At approximately 4:20 p.m., school bus number 419 pulled up to Cherrie's stop at the intersection of Cornplanter Road and the Mahan family driveway. Janice McKinney was at her kitchen window, as she always was when the bus arrived. She could see the yellow vehicle through the trees and knew Cherrie would be home within minutes. Cherrie stepped off the bus, wearing her favorite gray coat and carrying her pink backpack. She waved goodbye to friends still on the bus, just as she did every day. The bus driver watched her step safely onto the roadside before pulling away to continue the route. Several other children were also getting off the bus at nearby stops, creating the usual afternoon activity along the rural road. Parents were waiting for their children, and the scene was entirely normal and peaceful. Janice watched the bus depart and then prepared for Cherrie's arrival. The walk from the bus stop to their front door was exactly 150 yards down a straight gravel driveway. Cherrie had made this walk safely hundreds of times, and it typically took less than 5 minutes. But as the minutes passed, Janice began to feel concerned. She could see the entire length of the driveway from her kitchen window, and there was no sign of Cherrie. The little girl should have been visible walking down the gravel path, but the driveway remained empty. At first, Janice assumed Cherrie had stopped to talk with neighbors or was playing with a friend's dog. Sometimes children got distracted on their way home from school, and a few extra minutes wasn't unusual. But by 4:30 p.m., Janice's concern had grown into genuine worry. She put on her coat and walked up the driveway to the road, expecting to find Cherrie somewhere along the path or perhaps talking with a neighbor. The driveway was empty. The road was quiet, and 8-year-old Cherrie Mahan was nowhere to be found. Janice immediately began calling for Cherrie, walking up and down Cornplanter Road and checking with neighbors. The first people she contacted were other parents who had children on the same bus route, hoping someone had seen Cherrie after she got off the bus. Mrs. Helen Davis, who lived nearby, had been working in her yard when the bus arrived. She remembered seeing Cherrie get off the bus normally, but couldn't recall seeing her walk down the driveway. Mrs. Davis mentioned something that caught Janice's attention. She had noticed an unfamiliar van parked near the bus stop. It was blue or green, Mrs. Davis told Janice. Had some kind of painting on the back. Mountains, I think, with skiers. It was parked right where the children get off the bus. By 5 p.m., Janice had contacted the Pennsylvania State Police. Trooper James McKnight responded to the call, initially assuming this was a case of a child wandering off or getting lost. But as he interviewed Janice and learned about Cherrie's responsible nature and the short distance she had to travel, he realized this was more serious. Trooper McKnight began interviewing neighbors and other children who had been on the school bus. Several witnesses confirmed seeing the distinctive van near the bus stop around the time Cherrie disappeared. The descriptions were remarkably consistent. A blue or green Dodge van with elaborate artwork on the rear doors depicting a mountain scene with skiers. The van had not been there in the morning when children boarded the bus, and it was gone by evening when parents drove the route looking for Cherrie. Someone had positioned the vehicle specifically to be present when children were dropped off from school. As darkness fell on February 22nd, the search for Cherrie Mahan intensified. Pennsylvania State Police organized search teams to comb through the woods and fields surrounding Cornplanter Road. Volunteers from the community joined the effort, using flashlights to search ditches, abandoned buildings, and any place a child might hide or be hidden. Detective Robert Bell took charge of the investigation and immediately focused on the mysterious van. The detailed artwork described by witnesses suggested someone who had invested significant time and money in customizing their vehicle. This wasn't a generic van that could blend into traffic. It was distinctive enough that someone should remember seeing it. The FBI was contacted to assist with the investigation, bringing additional resources and expertise in child abduction cases. Special Agent John Holtz arrived from the Pittsburgh field office and began developing a profile of the potential abductor. The investigation revealed troubling patterns in the area. Over the previous months, several residents had reported seeing unfamiliar vehicles near school bus stops and playgrounds. Some parents had noticed men watching children from parked cars, but hadn't reported the incidents because nothing overtly threatening had occurred. Detective Bell realized they might be dealing with someone who had been conducting surveillance on local children, learning their routines, and identifying potential targets. The timing of Cherrie's disappearance, immediately after getting off the school bus, suggested careful planning rather than a random encounter. If this case is keeping you on the edge of your seat, please give this video a like and let us know what you think happened to Cherrie. Your engagement helps us bring more of these important stories to light. The search for the distinctive van became the focus of the investigation. Police distributed detailed descriptions to law enforcement agencies across Pennsylvania and neighboring states. The artwork was so specific that investigators believed someone would recognize it if they had seen the vehicle. Local auto body shops and custom paint businesses were contacted to determine if anyone remembered working on such a van. The elaborate mountain mural would have required significant artistic skill and time to complete, suggesting it might have been painted professionally. Media coverage of Cherrie's disappearance included detailed descriptions of the van, hoping someone would recognize it and contact police. The story was featured on local and national news programs, generating hundreds of tips from people who thought they had seen similar vehicles. Detective Bell personally investigated the most promising leads. He traveled to other states following reports of vans matching the description, but none proved to be connected to Cherrie's case. Some had similar artwork, but different details. Others had the right color, but no mountain mural. In the 1990s and 2000s, new investigative techniques were applied to Cherrie's case. DNA analysis of evidence collected in 1985 was conducted, though no definitive results were obtained. Geographic profiling was used to analyze the location of the disappearance and potential connections to other crimes. Modern investigators believe the van's distinctive artwork was both the perpetrator's weakness and strength. While the elaborate mural made the vehicle memorable and provided detailed descriptions for investigators, it also suggested someone confident enough to drive such a recognizable vehicle while committing crimes. 39 years after Cherrie Mahan stepped off school bus number 419, her disappearance remains one of Pennsylvania's most baffling unsolved cases. The distinctive van with its mountain mural has become an iconic symbol of the investigation, featured in countless newspaper articles, television programs, and online discussions. Janice McKinney never recovered from the guilt of watching from her kitchen window as her daughter vanished. Despite counseling and support from family and friends, she blamed herself for not walking up the driveway to meet Cherrie that afternoon. The 150 yards that had always seemed so safe became a source of endless regret. The case changed how rural Pennsylvania communities viewed child safety. School districts implemented new policies requiring parents to meet young children at bus stops, and many families moved away from remote locations where children had to walk alone. Law enforcement agencies improved their protocols for responding to missing child reports, emphasizing immediate action rather than waiting periods. The sophisticated planning suggested by Cherrie's case influenced how investigators approach child abduction investigations. The van remains central to ongoing investigation efforts. Modern technology has allowed for enhanced analysis of witness descriptions and creation of more detailed reconstructions of the vehicle's appearance. Age progression techniques have been applied not just to Cherrie, but to theoretical updates of what the van might look like today. Detective agencies continue to receive tips about suspicious vans, though none have proven connected to Cherrie's case. The distinctive artwork burned into witnesses' memories in 1985 continues to generate reports from people who believe they have seen similar vehicles. Cherrie's case serves as a reminder that predators often conduct careful surveillance before acting, and that even the safest-seeming situations can harbor danger. The 150 yards between the bus stop and her front door seemed like the safest distance in the world until it became the scene of an unexplained disappearance. The investigation officially remains open, and Pennsylvania State Police continue to follow leads and apply new investigative techniques to evidence collected in 1985. Somewhere, the distinctive van with its mountain mural may still exist, holding the key to what happened to 8-year-old Cherrie Mahan on that February afternoon. Cherrie's story reminds us that evil can hide behind the most ordinary appearances, and that a mother's vigilance from a kitchen window couldn't protect against a predator's careful planning. If this case moved you, please subscribe to our channel for more stories where families refuse to let their loved ones be forgotten. Leave a comment sharing your thoughts, and don't forget to like this video to help us reach more people with these important stories. Viewer discretion was advised for this content covering themes of child abduction. All case information is sourced from official police reports and Pennsylvania State Police documentation. Visual recreations are AI-generated for educational purposes only.